Okay, it's the next day, we're back in action. We didn't show you too much yesterday because we were painting white on top of white. And although they are two very different whites, the camera wasn't picking it up very well. But now it's the next day and it's dried. You can definitely see the amount of warmth that this new white, which is white 03 by Lick, has brought to the room. Now it is also in part because more light is coming from that window than that one, but you can definitely see this white has a little bit more of a blue tone and this has a little bit more of a yellow or a creamy tone, and I think it just bounces a lot more light, makes the room look a lot lighter. We will be painting this ceiling and all of these walls today, so we can see, do a little bit of a science experiment and see whether this room is brightened up just as much and if it holds true. Now, in terms of what we're going to be painting, I realized I didn't talk you through this yesterday. We have thought about this room for such a long time. I wanted to do super dark walls, but I was thinking, let us get our furniture in and then I could always decide later. I would worry that something too dark would make the room super, super dark. But then when we started leaning into darker furniture, darker woods, darker cabinets, which you'll see very soon, I decided I did definitely want to leave the walls light, but mix it up a little bit. So this is what we're doing. So on the ceilings, we've got Lick 02. This is the matte finish. We're doing matte all over the walls, and then we're doing eggshell on the skirting boards, which I'll explain in a bit, but we've gone with white 02. It's got a tiny, tiny bit of yellow underneath. And what that's really going to do in this north-facing room with one little south-facing window is it's gonna really help bounce the light around and bring a lot of brightness and warmth and some summery feel to the room, which I'm super excited about. Then I didn't want to leave the walls white. I feel like it would be too boring and I've got to try something different. So after a lot of hunting, we've gone for beige 03. It's a little bit grey, but again, it's still super light, really warm, and I feel like it's going to pair really well with kind of dark wood furniture. And then I was still worried it was boring, just some beige walls and some white ceilings. So we're gonna try something a little bit different, and I couldn't do an entire room without leaning into a little bit of black. So all of our skirting boards and our doors are going to be in black 04, which is eggshell finish, so it's got a little bit of a sheen, which I think will be really nice for woodwork. If you didn't know, you can paint woodwork with Lick, which is amazing. We feel like the black's gonna flow really well with, we've got black aluminium windows in this room, the kitchen's obviously got the black back doors, and as you well know by now, there's just a lot of black throughout the house. We've got a big black sofa coming in here. Yeah, we just love black, so I think it's gonna be good. We're also potentially going to be using this for our fireplace upcycle. So I think the black skirting boards flowing into the black fireplace is gonna look really, really, really good. Unfortunately, we are a little while away from putting down the skirting boards because we need to get our floor down first, but I cannot wait to get painting with this too. So today's the day. Let's change this room into something that we're excited to live in, and let's get painting. The beige on the walls, Tom has been doing the ceiling, and I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but for me personally, it's crazy the difference. So here is the white 02 we're using, and this is just a mist coat we did with some trade paint last week. And you can just see the difference in tone. Now that I'm seeing this just looks so cold and blue, and this is just, yeah, a lot more warm and a lot more light. What do you think?
No, I always thought there was only one type of white paint, but this obviously tells a different story.
You know it's good paint if Tom's actually willing to paint. It's the one job he refuses to do.
I don't want to paint.
Okay, it's many, many hours later, and we've made pretty good progress. We are painted to about 3/4 of the way across most of the room. And now it's the part that I always stress about, and that's cutting in. And I hate it for two reasons. Number one, I have absolutely no skill at all and I'm not a very precise person. And number two, these ceilings are so high that it just takes absolutely forever. You've got to move the ladder, get back up, move the ladder, get back up. But anyway, it's really nice seeing this room come together. I think the color's definitely bringing a lot of warmth. And I think with the blacks that we use a lot, got some really rich pieces of furniture, loads of plants, I think it's gonna look really, really good. And it's so cool seeing this come together. Okay, still working how to put it all together, but the flooring is here. We have a lot of boxes, and you need to open all of these up, let them breathe for 48 hours, and then you can start to lay. But I'm really happy with it. I like the size of the herringbone. I like how much detail is in them. I like that they're warm, but still cool at the same time. As you can see here, we went for these ones, which is actually showing up a lot lighter on camera, but this one we thought was just a bit too orange. These two we thought were soulless, and we really liked this one with the detail. It's also a bit dusty, which is why it's not showing up as well, but this is what it looks like in full size, and we love it. Now just a painful 48-hour wait for these to be ready to lay, and we are laying them ourselves, which terrifies me, but I'll get back to you when they're ready to lay. Okay, so you might think we're crazy for this, but I actually think it's a really good tip for renovators on a budget. So our flooring arrived, and the name of the flooring is different to the flooring that we purchased. That obviously doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means that the website that we bought it from kind of sells it as their own flooring when it's not. And so within a couple of hours of this being in our lounge, Tom had gone online with the name of the flooring on the packaging, has found the flooring available for cheaper elsewhere, and he's actually contacted Direct Wood Flooring, the place that we bought our flooring from, and they do a price match. So it's more than likely that they are going to price match the price of that flooring on another website, which comes to about £300 less than we paid. So yes, call us cheap, but I say it's a result. And that £300 can now go towards something beautiful for the lounge. So yeah, that's it on the flooring. Before we get laying, we do have one little part of the lounge that's giving us an absolute nightmare.
So a few months ago now, we did level out the dining room. The living room was completely fine. However, we have noticed in one of the corners, it does sag a little bit. So it's not the end of the world, but obviously for laying laminate, it's just not gonna look great and will infuriate me when we have our sofa on there and it goes back a little bit. So originally I thought maybe to put a leveling compound down, but when I was reading up about that, apparently that's not really good for floorboards. So instead the plan is to use some hardwood and plywood to just level it out. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it's just in the corner of the room. Again, there's not gonna be a lot of weight on there, but it's still good just to get level for when you put down a laminate floor, because it can just deteriorate in the long run otherwise. And again, it will infuriate me if the sofa is wonky. So we are trying to avoid that. The plan, I've got different thicknesses of hardwood. So when there's bigger gaps, I'll put 2 bits of hardwood, and when there's smaller gaps, 1 piece or even something a little bit thinner. I'm not sure how it's gonna work, but I think it should be okay.
So this is eventually where we've got to. Now, it is in the corner of the lounge that the sofa's gonna go on, so people won't be walking there very often, so it's not imperative we get it perfect, but we obviously don't want to do anything, you know, no shortcuts. We have finally made it to the weekend, and it is the day that we have been waiting for, I would say, for months. And we are finally going to get the floor laid in this room. Now, once the floor's laid, the sofa can come in, the armchairs, everything, the furniture can go down, and we can actually start to have a lounge and a dining room. So this has been a long awaited time. We haven't been able to do it because we've been still installing radiators and we wanted to get the garden done, but we're now in a position where we can finally get cracking. We've got 2 days to get this done, 2 full days, and we're feeling quietly confident we can do it, but we have also gone for herringbone flooring, and from the videos it doesn't look too complicated, but it's definitely something we don't want to get wrong. So we're gonna go slow, we're gonna go steady, but yeah, hopefully we can get this done this weekend and start moving some furniture in, and I am so excited. Okay, so we've got the underlay from Screwfix, we've got all of the flooring. It's been out here for a few days now, so it's been able to acclimatize no problem, and now we just lay, but we do have a fair bit to clear before we do that. And it really is a monumental moment in the overall renovation. Our temporary kitchen, which has been there, well, was meant to be there for 2 weeks and has now been there for multiple months, has to move, because finally the planks here that should be living down there are ready to go home to the place they belong. What a day, Tom. What a bloody day.
What a day. Before we put the underlay down, we have got some pipe insulation I bought from Toolstation, and we're just going to wrap it around all the radiator pipes. That's just going to help heat loss when we put the heating on. It was cheap to do, so we're just going to do it. It shouldn't take too long. What I've also done is rerun the fibre optic cable from the front of the house all the way back to the cupboard. So it's gone all the way along here, and it's going to go into the cupboard so we can move the Wi-Fi box if we'd like to.
So I can pretty safely say this is the first time in well over a year, I'd even go as far as to say a year and 3 months, that we actually have all of our floor down. I don't know whether that should make us laugh or cry.
We're going to cry of happiness.
Yeah.
After the floor's down today.
Big day, big day. Okay, we've realized we need this aluminium foil tape, which we do not have. So, to Toolstation. Secured the goods. Okay, underlay's down, taped, floorboards are down, everything's level, and it's time to lay the flooring. So the flooring that we've got is a herringbone kind of click system. I don't think it's going to be too complicated, but it does mean a lot of cuts and a lot of angles, and yeah. I've started by splitting the box into A's and B's. They come in A's and B's because you need to click them in a certain pattern. Separating them will just make it a lot easier, and we're going to start by making some triangles to basically understand where it needs to slot into the floor. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so we've got our first triangle, and then I guess we kind of just slot it into there and build it out from there. As per the box's instructions, we've now drawn a triangle going across. Okay, so we've been doing this for 2 seconds, we're already lost. The instructions do show to get a bunch of triangles and place them next to each other, and then it's super easy to slot in, and the logic's there, but we are starting in a bay window, and I can't find anything online that explains how to do it in a bay window, so we're just kind of making it up as we go. But we're currently thinking if we just bring out the floor as much as possible, eventually we'll get to a point where we can do the triangles that they've recommended. I'm not explaining this very well, it's very complicated, but none of this is getting glued down. And we're not cutting anything yet, we're just giving it a go and then seeing where we land in a few minutes. Okay, so hours later, it's proving actually quite tough. I don't know if you can see, these planks obviously go this way, but our wall doesn't go 45 degrees. So we're reaching the point where we kind of have to let a plank go and then chop it at the angle of the wall. It's all very complicated. We can now validate that starting in an alcove and not on a flat wall has made it 1,000 times harder, because I realize now the reason you needed to do all those triangles rather is because you can't do one long line without doing the lines next to them at the same time. So basically we can't make all of these look really good and come down and then start slotting them in that way, because of the way the interlock system works. You wouldn't be able to get those ones into these ones once you've gone too far. So yeah, we're just taking a very, very long time trying to work out all of the corners around the alcove, get to an equal line all along here, and then it should be pretty easy to make our way down. But yeah, the hard part in the beginning, which I always prefer, because once we get into this nice square room, it should be super easy. Nice. Let me just move the whole thing in. Nice.
Awesome.
Okay, we have done what we consider to be the hard part. All of this is now lay. The angles are good. And now it's just kind of bringing it down this way. Obviously, we will have more corners and stuff to cut, and all the ones going down there. But that's far, far easier than the unlimited angles that this area had. So let's go. Okay, this is how far we've got. It's looking pretty good. Loving the color. Can't wait to get some furniture in. But we are now going to, as you can see, we've come to the end of the underlay. So we're going to start getting all of this stuff and moving it onto here to make some room. Some is lounge stuff, some is dining room stuff, some needs to go to the back of the van for donation. But yeah, if we just get it all onto here, I think we can get the floor done tonight. It is 5:30 and it is a Saturday, so we may soon feel the need to shut shop for the night and grab some beers, but we'll see how far we get. And there you go. After 2 very grueling days, the entire room is done. I cannot believe it. There are definitely areas that we could have done better. I'm not going to deny it, but it was our first ever go, and all of the bits that have larger gaps than we would like are underneath the dining room table. So it's going to be a very, very low traffic area, and I'm hoping they hold up fine. I don't really know where we went wrong. I think we started with a little bit of a gap at the end of the room and it just progressively got worse. And I think that, combined with the fact that our floor's not perfectly level made it just a little bit harder to install. But again, it was our first ever time doing it. We did it in a weekend. We weren't rushed with it. We tried our best with it, so I'm not gonna get annoyed over a little mistake. And if it's something that we have to revisit later, so be it. It's our first ever time. But I hope you've enjoyed watching part 1 of our lounge renovation. If you'd like to follow along, please hit the subscribe button. We upload videos every single Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we have such an exciting job. We are going to be upcycling our fireplace, the original fireplace that has been in this house for over 100 years. And I'm so looking forward to doing that. I think having a little piece of the house's history remain in the house when we are, you know, changing and taking so much is going to be amazing. So look out for that video next week. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Thank you as always for your support. Subscribe if you're new. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it. But otherwise, I will see you next Wednesday. Goodbye.